Album review. Today's album is Biffy Clyro, A Celebration of Endings. We're joined today by Aidan.
Endings.
Myself, Denver. Joe.
Celebration!
And Will.
Biffy fucking Clyro. So, I've listened to this album at least between 12 and 15 times, if I'm honest.
Wow.
In the space of 2 days. I've literally listened to nothing else. Like, I've just been constantly spamming it out. Well, we've only had 2 days, so I wanted to get as much into it as I can. And I did try to approach it from a different perspective, right? I tried to act as if they weren't my favourite band. And still just fucking loved it. I can't lie. I think it's fucking amazing. Don't fucking start laughing now.
It's quite cute. It's like you were like, I was trying to look at them as if they weren't my favourite band. And then you just followed it up with a lie.
You're just like, I tried to see it as neutral, but fuck it, it's amazing.
I did try, but I still fucking loved it.
Will's like, I listened to it from every perspective. I was laying down, I listened to it upside down.
I think there's only 2 weak songs on the entire album.
Right.
Towards the end, I think everything else is like almost perfect.
Sorry, Aidan just died there.
Yeah, I just coughed. Don't worry, I coughed. It's fine.
Corona.
What I love about
look
Biffy,
at my neck. Ebola.
Fuck's sake. What I love about Biffy is just like the power and passion behind the songs. I think their riffs are like still to this day they have some like the most iconic fucking riffs, and I feel like they've done it again with this album.
2 days old though.
Right? Yeah, but all that, like, what I'm saying
it's
is
just so iconic.
Right. All their old albums have like some proper iconic riffs in them, and I feel like this has followed up from that.
Right, got you.
They consistently have released good albums throughout their entire fucking thing. Like, a lot of bands kind of peak off. That's what I was more worried about with their last album. I thought they'd probably reach their peak, but then their last album was fucking awesome and completely surprised me how good it was. And this is, again, just like they just keep releasing amazing songs, and yet they don't change too much. Like, their basic principles are basically the same. There's definitely a bit more electronic sounds to the newer albums. Like, for say, like Instant History is a lot different to anything they've ever done. Because it's like a bit of like a DJ. What's the term? It's not a DJ song, but you know what I mean. Like, do you know the actual chorus bit? Yeah, just generally more electronic, which is different, but I still really like it. One thing I will say about that song is it's different to the actual single of it they released, because there's like quite a big intro to it in this, and right at the end there's usually, in the single it was just instrumental, but they've actually added vocals over it, which I thought was quite interesting.
It was an interesting choice, definitely, to put the vocals there.
It actually made me prefer it than the general single.
Singer anywhere near anything.
Maybe this is like a reverse psychology from Aidan, giving it all this subtle beef, and then he's like, "This album is fucking amazing."
It's not, because he's stubborn as fuck. He was never going to enjoy it.
That would be an Aidan thing to do, though, wouldn't it?
No,
He's done it before. You might be in luck, Will. I'm not too sure. Hey, that was a rhyme. Sorry,
they've made a lot of albums.
Yes, and they're just.
How many albums have they made?
Like 18.
Fuck.
Yeah. How can you be wrong 18 times?
They just churn them out, don't they?
It's John.
They're just like, yeah, that'll do, release it. Yeah, that'll do, release it.
That's not the case.
Hi, what do you think of this song, Biffy? Hey, I think I'll flip the switch on the generator. I'm sorry, Mr. Biffy, what?
That's not even
fucking Atlantic. Fuck off.
I know. I'm just remembering better Scottish bands.
That's what made it funny.
No, wait, they're like budget fucking Biffy. That's fucking so wrong.
But Biffy did not switch for the switch.
The generator. No, they didn't.
No, you're right.
It is crazy to me how much he looks like Jacksepticeye. Like, what? He looks like Jacksepticeye.
I get that.
Like, look at
Mr. Clyro in the middle.
Look at the main. Look at the Spotify page and look at good old Biffy in the middle.
I go on Spotify. I go to the top.
His name is Simon Neil for reference.
Mr. Biffy.
Mr. Biffy.
Who's the pedo in the back left?
That's his brother.
That's the thing.
Cousin Clyro.
That's his brother.
I
We call him Uncle Brother.
He's my brother, cousin.
His name's Cousin. They call him Uncle Brother, mate.
Uncle Brother and Cousin Clyro, but they're both his brothers.
Well, he definitely does look like Japset. I've got a side-by-side picture.
He does
right
kind of
now.
look a bit like him. To be
Yeah,
fair.
but
You wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, I think you definitely would. But
No, you literally can't on the one I'm looking at.
yeah, but then if he had wheels, he'd be a bike.
exactly.
It's true.
The brother and the wait, fuck me up
Wait,
now.
the brother and the pedo.
And the cousin.
The drummer and the
and the
bassist
brother.
are
What?
brothers. They
Oh.
are actually brothers. Can you not tell? They look almost identical, except one's bald with a fucking pedo tag.
They literally don't look.
Are they a 3-piece band then? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things I love as well. Like,
Yeah,
they create
it's
such a
incredible.
massive sound for just like. Obviously, they layer a lot, and obviously, when they're live, they do have
Sorry.
like backing people that they bring in. But the amount of like, I think that in a similar sense to like a band like Royal Blood, they create such like power and just rawness to everything they make, and I think it works really well live. And it was actually seeing them live that made me fall in love with them even more. A bit in the sense of 1975.
It's this shit again, isn't it? Will's
This was
like,
a few years ago now.
You don't like a band unless you've seen them live.
No, but I think it does give you a different perspective. That's what I'm
Maybe,
saying.
but what I'm saying is, like, are you claiming that it, like, if for example I didn't like this album, would you be saying that because I haven't seen this band live, I haven't experienced it fully? And then by that extent, you can't ever truly like an album until you've passed the pay barrier that is going to the concert.
No, because you're putting it in like a dicky way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it gives you a completely different perspective and can often like make you understand why they've done certain things a certain way.
Yes,
exactly like hence the 1975 album where all the arty-farty stuff sometimes just felt a bit like, why is it even there? It made sense when they played it live.
Yeah, but I feel like we've had this argument before that if it was in the album but it only made sense in the actual context of being there live, why was it in the album in the first place?
Also,
because if then it was played live and you were like, well, what
no one would make sense. Yes, exactly. But you're alienating half the audience behind a pay barrier.
Also, a pay barrier is not a bad thing. Artists deserve
says
to be paid.
Every EA representative.
They barely get any money from fucking streaming.
Yeah, right,
now.
literally, right. Here's a little trivia.
Wow.
There was a petition the other day online, basically to get Spotify to give artists more money for their stream, because every stream, so like say if you went on my Spotify, right, and streamed, I would get 0.004p per stream. Right,
You get
so
double
that means every million views you get $4,000. Okay,
right.
but you have to get 1 million views to get that. That's a fucking shit ton of views you have to get just to get 4,000.
Yeah.
So if I was getting 1 million views per year, you'd get 4,000 for the year.
Money is made.
It
from
is
music
terrible.
through live, isn't it?
It is so shit, like the streaming.
it.
So literally, all artists pretty much make their money, or the majority of their money, from touring and merch.
Yeah, streaming is really just
streaming is awful.
Just almost like an advert.
Yeah, basically.
But the reason that you get paid that is because streaming is so much cheaper than what you can get through streaming is so much cheaper than buying all those songs.
Yeah, but what everyone's argument is that Spotify are a multi-million-dollar company at this point. They can afford to give artists more. They're just refusing to.
Yeah, but they've got to make money at the end of the day.
Of course they do, but they're making billions. They can spare it.
What,
Yeah,
Spotify?
Hang on.
I don't
It's not
think they
fair
are.
on. It's
They're
not
not.
fair on the
Spotify
artist.
But
were.
they tank money.
Yeah, Spotify
the CEO
had no
is
money for like years and years and years.
Yeah, no,
because
but
they
now it
weren't-
does.
Well, it's probably because
Barely.
they need to pay off
Not
all
a
their
lot.
debts.
So Joe's saying the moment that you've got money, you should give it away because, like, you haven't earned it.
The
That's
CEO
their
of
business would
Spotify is
not-
worth $4 billion.
Yeah,
That's
that's
because
what
it's
it's
worth
worth,
that
that's-
doesn't mean what he earns.
Yeah.
In
Very
Spotify's
different.
latest quarter reports, they did not make a profit.
Damn.
Exactly. So I think
Well,
it's
you've
more
got
to
egg on
like-
your face, haven't you, Joe?
Egg
You
everywhere.
look foolish.
I do get you, Joe, because from an artist's perspective, in a way, if they're thinking about it money wise, then yeah, it is kind of fucked in that sense.
At the end
But
of the
in
day,
many
the
ways,
artists that are on Spotify are helping Spotify run their business.
not quite.
They're almost
many
employees.
ways,
They are,
in
because
many-
if they weren't on there, then Spotify wouldn't get their money. If there was
Yeah.
no artists
But
on
if my
Spotify,
mother was
then
in a
they wouldn't get
wheelchair,
their-
she'd be a bike.
Fuck off, Aidan.
What?
Trying to prove a point.
What I'm
saying,
going to try and
if there was
say,
no artists on Spotify, Spotify wouldn't exist.
Why not?
well, yeah, but that's
It'd
fucking.
be a good podcast service.
So any artist that is on Spotify is helping Spotify to gain money.
Hey,
I like how you're breaking Spotify.
Well, they're
There's
not
someone
making any
listening to us
profit.
on Spotify right now, and we're just like, Spotify, give out more money.
No, we're not saying that at all. One thing that
I
Spotify,
am.
Apple Music has done, which is amazing for artists, which people I think appreciate, is it puts music out way more accessible than it's ever been.
Of course they do, and they are amazing platforms, but there needs to be a
Joe-
way to help artists more, especially smaller artists. Like you're
I
looking
think
at
it
like
helps
people
more.
like you're looking at
things-
people like Jason Derulo, right? He gets
Fucking hell,
like,
there we go.
let's have a look. He's got 49 million listeners. So people like him, he's on like 250k a
Yep.
month, right? So people like him, he's loving it. But then you've got
So
people
wait, hang on. Why isn't he giving away money to Spotify?
Exactly.
because he's
Look at it. Look
at it this
fair
way.
enough. Fair enough.
No, but that's even the thing. Like, how far down the rabbit hole do you go?
No,
Yes,
I'm-
Spotify are making money, but
I'm
why
not
are they
trying to
giving it
say-
to Africans that are dying, Joe?
I'm not trying to say, oh, Spotify are, awful.
So it's
in
like
their
artists
business.
deserve
I
money,
just-
and there are people not even able to eat in the world. And it's just
Go on,
If you're
Go
doing
on.
something for a living, you deserve to be paid for it.
Yeah, they
And-
are getting paid
And
for it.
Yeah, but you wouldn't get anything if it wasn't for
yeah,
the
but
platform.
smaller artists.
oh, that's true.
Smaller artists. No, if the platform wasn't there, people would still be buying CDs.
No, they wouldn't, because there'd be a different.
But they would never
platform.
find you.
And it also wouldn't be as accessible.
But what
It
like-
helps smaller.
Again,
artists,
you're
right,
kind of
Joe?
missing my point. I'm not trying to say that Spotify is an awful platform. Spotify is one of the best things that has happened to music.
Just think they should
and
give
how
more money.
how you listen to it, and how accessible it is. And yes, it does help artists get noticed, but what it doesn't help pay them. Is what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah, but I think
yeah,
everyone's
but they're
got to
not
make
making
money. They
profit.
barely make enough money to be able to pay what they pay currently.
Exactly.
You could look at it from the
Apple can
perspective-
afford to pay double because they don't make money from Apple Music. They just use it as another part of the Apple ecosystem.
The
That's
great Apple Hive.
Yeah.
You could look at it as a perspective of like, if your music's good enough, and obviously, because what Spotify does do is obviously it makes those discovery playlists.
Yeah, they are the
So
best.
That's where like how small artists do get noticed is if their
Yeah.
music's similar to like say a Biffy Clyro, but they're a lot smaller. Obviously, they're going to come up on your thing,
Gonna
and
get at
then
least
if your
two.
music's good enough that people actually want to pay to see you live, then the money comes from that sense. I generally think
Yeah.
like, while I do get you in many sense, but I just think it's different now. They're doing probably the best they can actually do. Like I say, they're not even making a profit still,
Yeah.
and it has just made music more accessible than it's ever been. And it's almost like a lacking to not be on Spotify now. Like I think Beyonce didn't used to be on it because she didn't agree
Taylor
with.
Swift
Taylor
refused
Swift
to be on it
used
for
to not be on it,
ages.
Yeah, but like it's such a gap. Like you're just missing out on doing it now because your music
Well,
just won't get
I'm not.
as noticed.
I'm not
I don't
blaming
think.
Spotify for anything.
no,
I'm
I
just
know what
trying
you
to
mean.
say it's an amazing platform, but it sucks that no one, that smaller artists just struggle to get paid from it. Is what I'm trying to say from that.
I guess.
Yeah, I didn't really understand your point, Joe. Can you say it again?
No,
What
I
do you
guess
mean
that,
now?
again, the hope is that they get noticed more just by being on Spotify.
And get
Yeah.
And
paid
through
through
that,
other
You look at-
avenues.
yes,
you look at Biffy
exactly.
Clyro. They've got 2 million views, 2 million monthly listeners, and this is just on Spotify as well. They'll have other revenue elsewhere as well, which means they'll be getting 8,000 a month.
Hmm.
And then you split that between what? How many's in the band?
But then Biffy did that stream yesterday, and there was 8,000 people watching, and it was £16 each. So it was like 120,000 just for an hour and a half.
Did you do the quick math prior to knowing you were going to say that?
No, when I was watching it last night, and I was like, "There's 8,000 odd people watching this." and I paid £16. I'm not sure if it was part of it was charity. I didn't really look into it. I was just willing to throw it in there anyway.
Let's be honest, probably not.
And it was it worked out just for like an hour and a half. It was £120,000. But obviously they paid a lot. Like, this is one thing I'll say. Well, I'll go back to actually talking about Biffy. They did that stream on Saturday, and it was like one of the coolest fucking streams I've ever seen in my life. Not just for the sense of like it was Biffy and it was my favorite band, but like I've never seen anyone do what they kind of did. Like, it was because I've never really seen like a music stream like that. A lot of artists I was kind of expecting them just to be playing on stage and go through each song and just kind of play it as if it was a gig. It was so different to that. They had like a whole orchestra there, and they had like different stages for every different, like each song they set a completely different scene. The whole thing was like one like hour long music video. Like, there was no cut in between. Like, there's one like cut in the middle, just to kind of break it up a bit. But like each song had its own individual scene and setting, and it was fucking amazing. And like, I think they did it as well to like push this whole, because a lot of music venues are getting shut down, aren't they? There's like a huge thing going on at the minute because obviously they're not making any money.
Yeah.
Like, loads of theaters are getting fucked over, and loads of just general like events places are getting knocked down, whatever, because they can't afford to keep going at the minute. And he literally, like, the final song, which I thought was one of the weakest ones on the album. I think, what's it called? Hang on.
Did it give you a
Cop Syrup? So I was going to say, I'll say this now. Pink Limit was my worst because I just thought it didn't really add anything. I didn't really like that song. And Cop Syrup was close to being the worst as well. But then when I saw that live, that kind of took it over the Pink Limit, because the ending scene, he kind of walked out the building and like showed the venue, and he was still playing guitar outside of like the venue that they were actually playing at, and it kind of just was like, it's like proper nice symbolism. It was fucking ace. And then he went back in and finished the rest of the song. It was just so good. Like, I feel like if it does let out publicly, it just gives you like such a good perspective. And he directed the whole thing. Like, he put it all together. Simon Neil, lead singer, put it all together, and it was just so brilliant. Yeah,
so
amazing.
When you say that, well, not you necessarily, but when you just said that I was autistic for liking the music videos and adding something to the song, so in a way, you're kind of agreeing.
I never said that.
Kind of agreeing.
I do agree. Yeah, because it's like visual representation, isn't it? It's like visual perspective can definitely add stuff. Like,
I think that
can also
that's part
take
of the
away.
problem. Well, it can take away. The motionless in white album cover is one of the worst things I've
oh
ever
my god,
Oh, God, that made me hate that album before it even.
Exactly, that's what I mean. We never like call you out for listening or watching the music videos as like necessarily, as you called it, an autistic thing. I just mean it's like it's another layer of something that not all of us are doing that you're having like an external effect from.
Yeah.
It's just like, but not all of us get the same thing, so it's not really a fair assumption. Like, you can, like, we all go, oh, it's a 5 album. Denver's like, guys, you didn't see the music videos. It's at least an 8 because of the way Mr. Biffy did a backflip and broke his spine.
Yeah, it was cool
Like,
when he did that.
it's
My favourite part of the stream when it just stopped. Oh shit! Mr. Biffy broke his spine.
My favourite part of the stream was when my internet died and it meant the stream was over.
Did you have to pay another £16 to get back in?
Yeah.
Please, Mr. Biffy. No, you know the rules. I'm only playing these trash songs once. Anyway, this next song's called Flipping Switches and Generators.
for fuck's sake.
The next song is Generator Out of Fuel. Get the generator.
Nice.
Brilliant.
But yeah, and I will say this, I think it's my favourite album released this year so far.
Is that why
Really?
you're asking what
Yeah, because I was just trying to think, like, if there was anything else that was notable, and I don't think there really has been. Even stuff that I've listened to outside of album review, nothing. Obviously, they're my favourite band, and that's granted. That's just I guess that kind of does help in a sense. But I did try to approach it as much as I could in like a sense of like kind of them not being my favorite band and trying not to be as biased. And I just loved it. I do think it's definitely my favorite album released this year so far. Maybe Post-Foreign or thingy that, who knows?
Do you think that your biased view was fully shoved out the window when reviewing this?
I mean, almost certainly not. Like,
the trouble is, if you like this type of music, regardless of like how much loyalty you have to that band, you're gonna like it anyway, aren't you?
Yeah,
it's like my favorite type. It was just like pure, like proper nice riffs. Just it's just fucking amazing. I love it, and just the passion and everything behind them. And they're great. Like I've seen a lot of the stuff they've done in general. And they seem like awesome guys. I just love it.
Freedom the Fall.
It was really hard to pick a third best because I feel like, especially the first 8 songs of this album, every single one I thought was just unbelievable. Like, I thought they were quality, and it was just a shame really that I thought it dropped off with the Pink Limit.
I too.
I did really like Opaque, and then like I say, Cop Syrup as well. It was a bit of a weaker one.
Cop Syrup?
No, I was saying it's a bit of a weaker one.
Hey, bro, you like cock syrup?
You like cock?
I did really like the ending, like instrumental though. I thought that was really nice to end it on.
My favourite part too.
With the scream at the end. But I quite like that. Again, another thing that would be great live.
Great.
I decided as my third as The Champ. That surprised me quite a bit. I like the really slow start, and then it just proper picks up. It's just fucking awesome. And again, an amazing riff that just sticks in your head. And it stood out to me on the first listen.
Right, good there, Joe.
Yeah, sorry, I elbowed it by accident.
But very easily.
Like, look at your elbows, Nick.
No, he's obviously trying to do the new, because you can't handshake now, can you? He's actually trying to move the mic with his elbow because he doesn't want to touch it with his hand.
Touched it.
I was
actually spraying aftershave onto my penis.
I touched it before quarantine, so therefore can't touch it again.
Got corona on my elbows, and my neck's got Ebola.
So I'll do my honourable mentions at the end, so it doesn't kind of spoil what my second and first is.
Spoilers.
Second is End Of. I think it's so fucking good. It's like, it reminds me of their old stuff, a bit like is it Bubbles? I think it just like the proper bassy, and it's like 3/4 of the way through the song when it drops, and there's just like this fucking awesome bass line. It's awesome. That was one of the singles as well, just proper stood out. I think it was fucking fantastic. But number one, and it might hands down be probably one of my favourite Biffy songs of all time, and that's Tiny Indoor Fireworks, which I feel like is, if it isn't in all of your top threes, I'll be very surprised, because it's just fucking awesome, so uplifting. Just one of the best songs I think they've ever made. Super easy listening, great riff, great vocals, and just amazing. Came out at a pretty awesome time for me, and I just think it was the best out of the singles and just the best on the album. I'd be surprised, even if you didn't like Biffy, I'd be surprised if you didn't like that song generally, because I just
quite
think
upbeat, that one, isn't it?
All round great song. But I'll say for like honourable mentions, North of No South was a fucking awesome start to the album. Very, very close to being third, probably the closest. Weird Leisure was obviously amazing. Worst Type of Best Possible was great. Space, I thought, was awesome. Like a proper nice change up in the album midway through. And that's the bit they did this massive orchestra through on that stream, which was really cool. And they actually released that on the night that the album was coming out. It's like the warm-up single kind of thing.
The hardest record.
Really cool. And obviously a great name. And just really lovely. But yeah, fucking awesome. Just makes me happy. That's the bottom line.
When Skies Are Grey.
And no matter what anyone says now, that's probably going to be so against this album, I'm not even going to argue, because I'm just happy how it is.
I reckon Joe's going to actually switch it up here. He's going to do a classic Joe Will Davey pick, where he's like, I thought this album was pretty good.
No, he's not, because he doesn't like Scottish accents being thing. But he's nowhere near as strong as fucking Twin Atlantic.
Oh, he's already on the defensive.
No,
I was
I'm just
gonna
going to
say,
say that.
he already argued with himself.
Okay.
He was already in
Alright.
defense mode.
Right,
I
this
haven't
is when
even
I
said
start.
my opinion yet.
I know, I couldn't help myself. Fuck's sake, I go against
He's
myself
just building a
straight
bit of
away.
padding so he can take the hits, you know.
Yeah.
He's just like, and I think Joe's not going to like this. And Joe's a prick for it.
And just before you do anything, I hate you all in your own cunts. Right, fucking hit me with it. Go for it.
Go, Joe.
Right, okay. Oh, I feel really bad. Will.
Nah, don't feel bad.
I feel bad. It's not as bad as the KSI album, but it's there almost.
Really?
I really didn't like it. I was really
God.
disappointed. Wasn't a big fan. I feel really bad for not liking it for you, Will. I really wanted to, but I don't like his voice. I thought the music was good sometimes, and I was, but anytime,
Sometimes
anytime I was like, "Oh, this is a nice bit,"
Shit.
they immediately change it up, and
they
it
do
takes
a
me
lot
out
of
it.
change ups throughout the song.
Yeah, they do a lot of change ups, and you know, there was only one song on the album that I liked, and I still wouldn't choose to listen to it really outside. I think the way I thought of this is when I was listening to it, I was like, every song except for that one song, I would ask someone to skip if it came up. I'd be like, "Can we skip this?" Because I really don't like it. And like again, anytime I think a song was good, like I was like, there was one song I can't remember what it was, but I was listening to it and I was like, "Oh yeah, it was literally in my top 3." So I'll save that, but I will describe it. There was like one song which is like really good, and then he starts doing some weird vocal stuff in the end, and I'm like, why ruin it? You had such a good thing going. There was one song with like a killer breakdown in it, and I can't remember what the song was called, but it had like a breakdown at the end, and I enjoyed that. And then it went back to the weird stuff again.
One of my just looking through my notes on some of the songs,
Yeah.
one of mine actually says ear rape.
Is that cop syrup by any chance?
It's not actually.
No. They do put that kind of distortion effect
Yes.
on his voice quite a lot in this album, but I feel like the best way to describe every song has like a different quirk.
Yes,
You
it's
know?
very. There's
all
no
have-
two the
they're very-
same really.
Yeah,
But
they
not
have
necessarily in a good way.
no, definitely not in a good way for me. Like every song you'll be like, there was one where you have this weird backing vocal that just comes up and then comes out again every time. I think that might be Tiny Indoor Fireworks. Actually, is it? I don't think it is.
Once again,
No,
Joe's
it's
done
not.
mad prep for this album review.
It's not.
He
I didn't
knows
give him a lot of
every
time.
song. He knows all the ones that he wants to know about. He's just
Which is none of
So-
them.
none of them, not at all.
No. The thing is, like, because I don't like them, they don't really stick in my head as much as well, you know? There's that as well. So, like I said, they all have their little weird quirks. A couple of honorable mentions before I get into it would be, like, Weird Leisure. I liked kind of the guitar riff bit in that until his vocals
That
started.
kind of triggered me because there's a certain line where he's like, he says something and it just like stuck in my head. I couldn't
You can get it out.
can't remember the line he says
Yeah.
though.
Something about generators.
Is it like, where's everybody going? Says it really weird.
Go on.
Scottish.
It triggered me.
Scottish.
Everyone knows Scottish.
There's a lot of stuff that triggered me in this album. The issue is I felt like, and Will, this is going to trigger you. Please don't nibble. But it felt like all the songs were wrote by a 13-year-old or written by a 13-year-old.
Have you even read the lyrics?
Yeah, they are pretty cringe, bro.
Like I wouldn't even say they're cringy. Everything is just really basic. And then it just feels almost like, you remember when we did the Foo Fighter album and I was like, oh, he sounds like he's just making it up as he goes along. It's the exact same thing with this. Like, he just sounds like he's just fucking spitting whatever comes out of his mouth and singing whatever notes. Like, sometimes you'll think he's going to hold a note and then he decides to go, Like it goes everywhere with it.
Do you reckon they used a random word generator to find the names of most of the songs?
Probably.
I think you're not mature enough to understand what they mean.
Yes.
I didn't really care what they meant though, Will, because I
Tiny,
Exactly.
what's a tiny indoor firework, Will?
I'm not going. I've told you I'm not arguing.
It's called a candle.
Yeah, because they explode.
Sparkler.
I mean, I knew I shouldn't have bought
It's a
my candle
sparkler.
from Israel.
So I don't know. Nothing hooked me on this, except for my first favorite. But that's only because I'd heard it before, so you probably know what that's
Sorry, I just want to ask Will about a few more titles. What does North of No South mean?
North of No South.
Or is it north of number south? Like, you know, you'd normally have like a...
but usually you'd put the dot. North of number south.
South 3. And what is, while we're on the subject, what is the worst type of best possible?
Right, that is definitely a random word generator.
It's like, have you ever seen those conversations between like pretty women and like Indian men?
Yeah, it's like
hello, why are you? It's like that. Worst type of best possible.
It's like those if you like autocomplete a sentence.
Yeah, it is.
Like, because you just use the words best possible after of a lot. So when you put worst type of, it's just like best possible.
So,
fuck the song names. So
fuck them. It doesn't matter what they are. It just matters what they sound like. Oh wait, we fucked that up too.
And every time I read the word champ, I just keep thinking of that old prank call thing. Do you remember where it's like, is Champ there?
Oh, who?
Champ.
Champ.
That'll be decided at this week's SuperSlam!
The new WWE champion!
That is the best video.
I forgot about that. The champ's coming tonight on Raw. It's SummerSlam.
SuperSlam!
Brilliant.
Yes, Joe. So, what was your least favourite, Joe?
Well, I was just going to say a prime example of like one of the little quirks for me. It was in like North of No South in the verses, where he's like just singing normally, and then all that distortion kicks in, and he does these little interludes in them. I don't know if you guys know what I'm on about.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. Is that what that means?
A journey north of no south.
North of no south.
Or it really means.
I guess that means like north of no south. I guess means there's no south. So that you don't know where you're going. Is that what it means? You know.
Yes, because you're going north of south, but there's no south.
But there's
so
no
where
south.
Are you going?
So where are you going? So I guess
where's everybody going?
What does north of no south mean?
What's your opinion on what I've said so far, Will? Because you can argue.
You don't have
to argue with me, but
I'm Will Davies' representative, and he's loving everything you're saying.
So hold up, boys. There is a short story by Charles Bukowski called "South of No North." Right?
Ah, so that about depression or something?
But wait, it was published by Black Sparrow Press. Captain Jack Sparrow goes on the Black Pearl. Davy Jones' locker.
Just pirate words.
That's some instant history, right?
It is a short story.
Sorry,
$17.50.
South of No North contains some of Bukowski's best work. Among the short stories collected in the book, A Love for $17 fucking, about a man named Robert whose infatuation with a mannequin in a junk shop leads him to fuck it.
Maybe all the song titles are opposites of this guy Bukowski's books. Like, does he have another book called, like, The Loser?
And I like the idea that, like, this guy Bukowski actually originally wrote a book called Biffy Clyro that they stole, like, it was already their name.
Right.
But his book sold way more, so to get back at them, he just wrote
So us being consistently trash, and we made songs, would all our song names just be like types of bin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know where Biffy Clyro's name came from? Have I told you?
Do I care?
Do you know when you was in school, you had those pens? They were called, like Cliffy Biro. It was spelled Cliff, CLIFFE, and then
I thought you were just going to say like they just named after Biffabiddens.
no, they literally swapped the B and the C over, and that's how they made the name.
I mean, that's about as inventive as their songs are.
Well, you could say that to a band that's as big as them, as you know.
As big as them. Only 2 million monthly listeners. Never heard of them.
Never heard. Biba Doobie has more.
Biba Doobie has
Actually,
more.
does he still anymore? The TikTok songs that sound a bit.
Hang on a minute. How many do Issues have?
Not enough.
How many monthly listeners do Issues
My God,
have?
Biba Doobie's at 24 million listeners.
Damn. Holy shit.
Just because of that one song.
Well, it happens, doesn't it, you know?
The thing is, even Lynx FM play it.
I hate Lynx FM.
But Lynx FM, the song is called Deathbed, but in brackets it's Coffee for Your Head. But on Lynx FM, they don't call it Deathbed because that's not very Lynx FM-y.
It's just coffee
So
time.
they just call it Coffee or Coffee for Your Head. Even though she has another song called Coffee. Slightly different.
Do you know why she's called Biba Doobie?
It's quite a fun name, isn't it?
Because there was a pen at school, right?
Called Diba
Biba
Doobie.
Doobie. Oh, fuck me. Wait, isn't it Joe's review? Where the fuck is he?
He's just muted his mic. He's just gone.
I'm
Joe?
here.
Back.
Come on.
I'm here. Hello.
What's your least favourite?
My least
Joe.
favourite
This is
is
gonna be-
Cop Syrup
Cop Syrup.
because it's just earache.
Robots in disguise.
It was just the whole. I started and I was like, "Oh, the guitar sound nice," and then just couldn't. Just everything else was just a mess, and it just changed up so much that I just couldn't keep track of what the hell was happening. And then was bored by the end.
It's a very long song, that one. Like 6 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. My third favourite was Space.
Nice.
Space. It was ruined by the ending. This one.
Wicked.
I was like, because the thing is, I don't think his voice really suits the lower. I don't think his voice suits much, but I don't think his voice really suits like the quieter, mellower songs. But this one, I was like, okay, it's got a decent enough chorus, and then it gets to the end and he starts doing, when he says heart and he goes heart, he's just, that was a bad example.
God, those singing lessons are really paying off.
They're really doing well, aren't they? I just ignore that. Just rewind. I didn't do that.
No, we'll cut it, boys. Cut it.
Cut it. Yeah, rewind.
Don't. Cut it.
When he says heart at the end, he sings it very weirdly. He sings it. It's in the song. You'll have to listen to it.
Well, you just said it a minute ago.
But if I had to do it, it would be like heart.
Are you being strangled?
It sounds like it, doesn't it? Just like
my second favorite was Tiny Indoor Fireworks.
Right.
Oh, say that with some more enthusiasm, please.
Tiny Indoor Fireworks.
He did do it with a tiny bit more.
The thing is, he did that with the
fireworks.
enthusiasm of like you going to a child's party.
Tiny Indoor Fireworks.
Where's the birthday boy?
That's like my gay camp accent, if you didn't know.
Oh, I thought it was just
Tiny Indoor Fireworks.
I've never been to gay camp. What's it like that?
Issue with this song, I didn't like the way he kept saying "hey" a lot. It seemed to be the only thing he said in the chorus.
I can relate to that.
And my favourite was the only song that I'd heard beforehand. I didn't know it was Biffy, and I didn't know it was on the album either. It's the one that's called
Instant History.
Instant History. That's the one. Yeah.
Right.
That I felt like was the only well-structured, nice-sounding song.
So once again, Joe,
Yeah,
you didn't pick your favourite as your favourite.
Yeah, Yeah, but like that, I'm retracting that statement.
No retracts. It's
I
on
can retract
Spotify
that
now.
statement. Yeah, but
Joe's favorite platform, Spotify.
The fourth song is always good, and in this case, it was my second favorite song. The fourth song is never bad on an album. There you go.
That's just such a bold thing to say.
Anyway, so yeah, I thought Instant History was the only kind of unique song on the album that just didn't really have anything weird about it. It was just a nice, just structured, normal song, and I liked it. It was all right. And that's my review. I thought all of it sounded quite hollow. I will point that out. I think all the songs, like I know Will, you were saying earlier, like you feel like they're massive and all this. I felt the opposite. I felt like all the songs were really hollow and didn't have really much to them.
I think it really depends where you were listening to this album. Because every time I listened to it in my car, I honestly just thought everything was quite forgettable.
Mm.
I was like, it could kind of skip over, and even the things that did stand out, I kind of almost heard too much. Like because I listened to that EP they did. Well, it's not EP, but all the songs they had released beforehand, I'd like try to listen to them quite a bit before the album came out because we've only had like 2 days to listen to it. Sort of help the load, I guess. But it meant that those songs I kind of wasn't too much of a fan of, for the most part. Because like End Of, for example, for quite a while I quite liked that, and it was like stand out. Like I think that one's my favorite, but that's not even my top 3 in the end. I thought listening to car quite forgettable. I would almost agree with the hollow statement that Joe says. Having listened to it though with actual headphones, where you're not being distorted by the sound of your car or the sound of my terrible like radio transmitter that I have to use in order to get to work in my car. And the amount of, I would say the production across all the songs is really good. Like, it's really up there with, like, all the different effects and all the layers of instruments and all the subtle things throughout the entire album, especially at the beginning of the album. I thought were really good. Throughout, and it annoyed me at first, but I actually did like it in the end, was the change-ups throughout a lot of the songs. I like how it was never just, for almost any song, it was never just, they made some melody or riff, and they just stuck with that with music over the top, you know. Like, there was no formula to any of the songs. Every song was different, meaning that there's more of a chance, I guess, there's going to be a song on there you like. But I think then it decreases the chances of, like, you liking the entire album. But it did mean, in that respect, that I thought it means a lot of effort, I feel like, went into a lot of the songs. The problem I had with it is I don't really like his voice that much, which, despite all the level of like production that they put into it, just not like his voice just makes it really difficult for me to like a lot of the songs. So almost a lot of the rating I end up giving this album is more based on the level of effort I feel like went into the songs, rather than like, would I actually want to listen to them outside of this this album review, really. So yeah, and also I felt like a lot of songs lacked hooks, like vocal hooks.
Yes, I agree, and I
agree also.
I don't know if that's because of the way that he chooses to sing a lot of it, but like, because they do have a couple of good choruses, but like they're always so almost masked by his actual ability.
And I feel like it's then hurt by, because a lot of songs have so many change-ups in them, it means there's no like hooking moment. You kind of have to be in the whole song, rather than like, there's not many songs I didn't think had like a build-up to a moment or anything. Which just meant it somewhat, I can even though I don't agree with Joe's hollow statement, I can kind of understand where he gets that from.
Sure.
I mean, it sounds like you're saying that though, like towards the end of most songs, there was never really anything to look forward to.
I think with the hollow thing, I think something to point out is like with like the KSI album, I couldn't like understand why people liked that, but with this, I can understand like why people like this and how people do. So it's like almost like the hollow statement can be completely different for like other people, you know?
Yeah. My least favorite was Cop Syrup. It was long, it was screamy, it was boring. It did change it up, but both in the change up, it still just changed it up to something else that was boring.
But it was too late.
And it was long. And it was so long that in my notes I put long at the beginning and then, oh my god, so long. And just, it wasn't very nice to endure. Like, I don't know why that song exists. Like,
he doesn't scream very good either.
Like, it's not Screamo, though. I feel like
it's not Screamo, no.
Screamo is like people putting on a voice. That was just him screaming.
Yeah.
But it's passion, guys. Come on.
But it wasn't
being passionate about the shit music he makes.
So I didn't like that. But this album definitely... like, I loved the start of it, though. Like, no question. Like, I mean, especially when listening for it to review and noticing all the extra things. I fucking loved my favourite songs on the album.
Okay.
Third favourite, The Champ. I loved, like, the whole vibe to it. I couldn't, like, describe, like, I love the way it sort of builds up and then changes to something else and goes again and builds. So even though I know I said about not many build-ups in songs, it didn't necessarily have a vocal hook per se, but it just felt grand to listen to. And I quite enjoyed it.
I feel like a lot of the hooks in Biffy's songs are the actual guitar riffs, if that makes sense.
But what stood out to me in that song was the violin.
Violin?
Yeah, but that's just tiny guitar.
Tiny guitar. Like, I actually put that down. I really enjoyed that one. And then my second favourite, which I think is I can't think of an album which has had a better intro than North of No South. Like, into setting a scene, like, in terms of making an intro song, like, that song was just perfect. Like, it was both perfect in the fact that it had its own intro within that song and then changed into something, as well as an intro for the album. Like, I loved all the effects on it. It felt big again. Had loads of switch ups, but at first I thought made it a mess. First few times listening to it. But I think, again, that's just lost in the way you listen to it. I felt like this album was shit listening it into a car. And I feel like listen to songs in a car, you kind of want upbeat, hooky, punchy songs. Because a lot of the subtleties in music, I think, get lost in listening to it. Whereas if you're just sitting down listening to it, I thought that song was a fantastic start up to the album. And my favourite, just because it was the best one that followed just the normal Denver liking songs formula, and that was Tiny Indoor Firework. Like, it's upbeat, nice sound, and I think it was the only one that actually had a distinct hook in the song, so that even when listening to it in the car, I knew I liked that one. And then, so without knowing the finer details and the intricacies of the song, it was still good, which is why it made it my favourite. There was a couple other, like, half honourable mentions. Or not even honourable mentions, just necessarily like other things I noted. Like, the ear rape thing I put was worst type of best possible. Just because it starts and it's just noise. Like, it's as if, like, why have they done... And there was another song, I didn't write it down, but there was another song that did that. It was just like, why have they just made this, like, ear rape noise? Why is that? Are they, like, trying to, like, make the song sound better by, let's start it really shit and noise, so then it kind of makes the rest of the song stand out? Well, I don't know why they did that.
They've got a lot of songs like that, especially their old stuff, where it's like there's like a very weird intro, but for the purpose of live music. Again, I know Aidan's going to say whatever.
I hate that. I just hate that as an excuse.
But
so dumb.
They generally do this
in the album.
There's an old song called "Who's Got a Match," and the first like half of the song is like this whole riff to kind of like go with the lighting of the setting and everything, and it does work. And when they did it on the actual, because I do get what you're saying, it is a very just like weird start, but they're known for kind of doing shit like that so that it does work live. And if they actually do release that fucking stream, hopefully, if anyone would actually be down to watch it, it does give perspective of why they've done certain things. It's cool.
I also thought, considering how fantastic the intro was, because especially with North No South and The Champ, like, I love those songs. Weird Leisure, I thought was a bit, but I just didn't like the way he sounded or the way he said things. Tiny Indoor Firework was great, but the end was horrendous. Like, Opaque is just boring and repetitive. Pink is not interesting at all. and Cop Syrup is terrible. So past Instant History is alright, but that didn't get in my top 3 just because I'd heard it so much. Like, that was the only song similar to Joe that I had heard before. I think it's been out quite a while, that song.
Yes.
That I was just like...
It came out with the day we went on the holiday.
Yeah.
I remember when I said, "Oh, Biffy's released a new song," and I tried to force it upon you all. That was Instant History.
Right.
Fun
But
fact.
I did like that song, and I thought that was almost going to be my favourite before we even started this, just because I knew I liked that song before, but I kind of heard it too much. And it just wasn't nearly as interesting as some of the other songs. So, in general, yeah, it's just a funny one. Like, I feel like there was some songs I did love, but a lot of the album was just, I don't know, difficult to listen to just casually. I felt like if you were listening to certain songs and actually really listening to it, you can appreciate it. But just as a casual listen that I like put on a playlist, I probably never really listened to any of them other than maybe Indoor Fireworks. Because I feel like North and No South and The Champ, my other favourites, were very situational listens. Not just like amongst my other like more upbeat songs that I know. So, yeah. My review.
Cool. I think that's a respectful review.
Thank you, Joe.
Very straight opinion, you know? Yep.
Like me. Straight.
Yes, homo.
Yes, Homer.
Oh, nice. Bring back more references.
9/11.
Nice.
Careful.
Oh, he loves it.
Aidan.
Oh, I thought we were just doing ratings. No. To be fair, right? Biffy Clyro's this thing. What's it called?
Celebration of Endings. Oh, yeah, actually, sorry, one side note. Terrible album name. It's called A Celebration of Endings, but the ending is terrible.
It is, yeah.
Or alternatively, they're going to stop making music.
Well, or is that what they're saying? Are they saying this is the last Biffy album?
I hope not. I'd actually cry.
It should have been called A Celebration of Intros, would have been, like, much better, because the intro was so much better than the end.
Man, I love that that's just your own internal thought. That's great.
Why do you completely disagree?
No, it's to mark the end of lockdown.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but wasn't it called Celebration of Endings before lockdown even was a thing?
Not only that, haven't like France and Spain also gone like basically back into lockdown?
Yeah, and we might be as well. So
Oh. A celebration of endings.
Oh, imagine if they do it just before we go on holiday.
What if they lock down again?
Yeah.
I know it's very possible.
I'm still taking the week off. They can't fall. Aidan, we noticed you're at home. Fuck off!
Vegas has been cancelled. Finally,
That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
So I've cancelled that week. So pretty much.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Aidan.
Yeah, ratings.
Fuck off, dude. Tell us what.
All right, fine. I know you clearly want to hear about.
I don't, to be honest.
Well,
Unless it's good.
let me tell you, I was surprised actually by this album. At how shit it was. No, I mean, it just says at the top of my notes, and it just says, "What a fucking subpar band, eh?"
Yeah.
Just like here's the inherent problem, right? When you don't like the singer's voice, there is immediately a disconnect between you and any of the content on the album.
Yeah.
Right? And this
Just
album,
from the get-go.
just immediately. And I feel like this album's probably supposed to be one of them like journey things, but I don't even think that it knows where it's going. Like, have you ever seen those pictures of drunk snails where like they just draw the little mucus lines all over, and like it's really random. I feel like that's what this album is for me, except with an overwhelming surplus of Scottish. It also feels like it's supposed to be an arty piece, like a 1975 album, but it also feels like really half-assed. And Papa Aidan always says, "Never half-ass, only whole-ass."
It definitely feels like it feels very uninspired again. Like it just does. It doesn't feel like.
But the point is, it's
doesn't
supposed
feel
to
passionate.
be inspiring, whereas like it completely falls short.
Keep your nerve, Will. Keep your nerve.
It's as inspiring as somebody falling off a cliff and people claiming they were the prophet. It's just, it's just not the case. And I feel like there's a lot of there's definitely like some connections to be made between people that are in cults and people that like Biffy music. Just because it's
in a cult.
It's a very acquired taste that when you look at it from an outside perspective, you're like, what the fuck do you see in this? Don't worry, it's just baby raping cult. Oh, that's really fucked up. You know? It's just not okay.
Yeah. Definitely.
The worst song was the literal garbage hot mess that was The Pink Limit. Like, I think they just threw darts at a board lined with weird music tropes and just said, yes, that. Because it was so confusing, it was weird, the instruments didn't feel like they made sense, it just had nothing to it. It was a horrible, horrible song. And I can pre-warn you right now that despite being the only proper acoustic song, Opaque will not be in my top 3 because Mr. Biffy's singing really ruined it for me. Just really shat on it. Just any semblance of that could be a good song was ruined when Mr. Biffy walked in. Number 3, Space.
Space. Man, space is spaceman.
Any song where Mr. Biffy doesn't actually have to try is okay with me, because that's inherently less to fuck up. I was also a big fan of the greater ensemble in this song. It made it very theatrical. And I think if there wasn't singing in it, it could have been a good movie soundtrack.
They did a movie soundtrack, didn't they?
Yeah, the last album was a whole movie soundtrack.
So I can understand how they've been able to do that, like with the level of production that they've put into these. So, like you say, Aidan, if you strip away his voice,
it'd probably be quite enjoyable. I think as an instrumental, this album would be quite nice.
I would agree.
Number 2, The Champ.
Is Champ there?
Is The Champ? I just thought it had a little bit of a catchy chorus. It caught me off guard. It wasn't really one that I expected to even be in there. Like they used quite a lot of like minor tones and stuff in the choruses. That I like it. And it had quite nice backing.
I remember my first listen. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go on. Yeah.
It's like a really calm, weird start, isn't it? I was like, all right, and then just when it like kicks in, I was like, fuck me. Like first being a Biffy fan, that's like their fucking go-to. It's just like the massive. Like,
it makes me cringe every time you go. As a Biffy fan, it's just like
no, but like
saying
I'm a Biffy fan.
All their old albums, you kind of understand
Alcoholics Anonymous and going like, as a paedophile.
No, but it's just like it makes sense. I don't know. Just it's their classic Biffy of just being like,
as a paedophile, that 10-year-old is hot as fuck.
Oh my fucking god, I hate you sometimes.
So, what was your favourite?
Instant History.
Instant History, so no tiny indoor fireworks.
No, it completely flew under my radar. Did not get it. Just that when you guys are just like, oh, it's really good, it's really nice and pretty, and I'm just like, it completely flew over my head. Gone. No idea. Yeah, I feel like there's a pattern, or we found a pattern anyway, when we were reviewing albums, where a band releases a single that's like good. It leaves a level of skepticism for the rest of the album to follow upon the quality.
Yeah, and Instant History is quite different.
They almost never do. I don't know if you found that, but like whenever we hear a single, there's a reason they're singles.
Yeah, the 1975 had the same thing with Too Shy. They literally released that and was like, yeah, this is the last song like this we're making. So like, so the rest of the album is going to be nothing like this song.
But Too Shy was great. And then they had stuff like, what was the one that Will said was his favourite and he was wrong?
He said People.
That's horrible.
People.
But it's just you must understand that is just noise. It's a terrible, terrible song.
I can understand why you say that, yeah, because I remember the first time I was hearing it. Like it's
a joke.
We were just like, what is this? This is so different.
And like, could you imagine if you wanted the entire album to be that? But yeah, like I feel that this album, or that this song rather, is another example of that songs are being released as singles and then not actually living up to the hype with the rest of the album, kind of thing. The rest of the album's worse than the single that they release, or at least substantially worse. I think overall I was just like, I went into this in the same way that Will said that he wanted to go in with an open mind. I too was just like, I know I'm not really the biggest fan of Biffy Clyro, but I would quite like to be able to respect it or respect where it comes from, and I just couldn't.
Yeah,
like every time I listened, it got slightly worse. Could be because I got hammered while listening to it as well.
If anything, I thought I'd make it better.
You would have thought so, but no, not at all.
Because sometimes I find like big epic songs like this, or like what this is trying to go for, often feel better if you're just like having a drink, sat down, you're like, whoa.
Well, that's what I was doing, and it
still didn't get it to work.
It did nothing for me. It really didn't. Yeah, super disappointed. I'm sorry this album was ever made. Try again, Biffy.
When I was doing my classic Wikipedia digging, looking for any like info, any scoops, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole. Just found something interesting, which isn't really directly related to Biffy, but I'll tell you how I got from Biffy. So, Biffy Clyro, Matt Cardle did a cover of one of their songs for the X Factor, which Will told me prior. I was then on like Matt Cardle. I was like, oh, what's Matt Cardle doing these days? You don't really hear of him. He's like, he released several albums that did mediocre, and he's like doing, he's in like plays and stuff now.
Did Matt Cardle win?
Yeah, Matt Cardle won.
See, that's why.
Yeah, if you won, I think Leona Lewis was like the only one who did like that great. Oh no, Little Mix, I guess. Fuck, Little Mix won.
Did they win?
Yeah, they won. They were the first group to win.
Why is always singing? Why aren't there more like? Didn't the dog win like Britain's Got Talent at some point? Like,
yeah, I think
we
the
need
dog
more
did.
Like that.
But what's interesting? So Matt Cardle co-wrote a song called "Amazing." Which...
ironic name because the song's shit.
But he published a song called "Amazing." Anyway, he then got £16 million out of a lawsuit because they sued Ed Sheeran because Ed Sheeran plagiarized it.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I swear it was a Marvin Gaye song as well that there was a lawsuit against Ed Sheeran for.
I feel kind of bad because there are only so many like chords and stuff to use. And like when you find a few that work, and you're like, oh, I really like that.
And then someone's like, that sounds like my song.
Someone tapping their foot across the pond, just like, don't think so.
I wonder if there's like a plagiarized machine, like can you make a song and then run it through an algorithm and can be like, this song has the same chord progression as this song?
See,
like, where's the
statute
of limitations on that? Yeah.
I built an AI that picks out plagiarism on the internet.
And I sue them.
I found 13 songs similar to your song, sir. Sue them.
Sue them all.
Just sue the shit out of them.
The trouble is, with a lot of those, like, I bet, especially if, like, it must be so hard for, like, smaller artists, because the big artist who's got a big record label can just be like, that you can't fight them.
On you, or like alternatively just throw enough lawyers at you until you're bankrupt.
Like the Man City approach in football, like they always get done for like fair play rules, and then they just send an army of lawyers to like.
Sorry, don't think this is football review.
Sorry, it's lawyer review.
Lawyer review.
How many lawyers can I shove at this sue?
I'm a big fan of Eduardo Menendez's style of lawyering because he does tend to bring a handgun.
It's like, I went to like a Mr. Beast video. It's like, I got 50 lawyers to sue Shawn Mendes.
No, they sue each other. Best lawyer wins. Lawyer battle royale.
Right. Ratings time.
Will?
You usually say my name first.
No, you don't.
Oh,
you do, actually. The first person
you do.
Well,
doesn't matter. Fuck it. 9.5.
3.
6.5.
3.5.
Ratings are all over today, boys.
All over the
It's
place.
like a Joe album.
Paul?
It scores 22.5.
There you go. Well, that's not too bad.
That is the same as Sam Fender Hypersonic Missiles.
But at least Sam Fender could sing.
Yeah, and I thought that album was better actually.
Man,
Sorry, Will.
It's all right.
But that's right, baby, because it's the elusive 100th album.
100th. That's 100 album
time.
reviews.
100 albums. No, we haven't recorded 100 albums, but we've done 100.
100 albums.
Yeah, because we started recording. Well, on the podcast, it started at pick 78.
Damn.
And then on YouTube, it started pick 64.
And because it's my pick, most handsome member of Consistently Trash.
Yeah.
I was thinking that we go back to our roots of what really made album reviews special.
Oh.
To us. Or is the thing that cemented it as something that we'd want to do most weekends for the indefinite future until one of us dies.
Yeah. That's the only way this is stopping, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Which is why the album that we're going to do is Issues, Beautiful Oblivion.
Hey! Hey!
Now, obviously,
we're back.
For the context, we did Issues Headspace as one of the... It was the pick number 6 in the early days. And it cemented a song called Hero, which it was metal and we all shit on it. But we now look back and realise it was the best metal thing we've ever had. And... now we say about how much we love Issues, even though we don't really listen to their music that much. But we just always claim we love them.
That one song is enough.
To be fair, it had about 4 really good songs on there.
Yeah, I'd say.
So now their new album, Beautiful Oblivion,
which is what we're going to go for. Okay. It's going to be great.
Got any closing thoughts, Joe?
The bears, the grizzly bears and polar bears, babies, they're called pizzy bears.